Hello, T-Row fans, and welcome once again to another great Casper College Coaches Show. Here again, we have Coach Hammond Bennett with us. Good to have you, Coach.
Yep, thanks.
As usual, it's always fun, and we'll have some good conversation, hopefully, and talk a lot about some women's soccer. How about it?
Let's do it.
All right, well, then let's get right into it. So we had two conference games to start. So you start 2-0 in a conference play. You played NJC and you played Lamar. Let's start the good, the bad, and what can be improved from this past weekend.
Well, and we've talked about it before. NJC and Lamar. NJC is always tough. They're well coached. They've got some really good talent on the team. They didn't have some fair results coming in, but we're watching film of them, and they're athletic. They're quick. Lamar so much improved from what they were last year. They had just come off a 5-1 win against, I think it was Trinidad. So,
oh, wow, okay.
So it's like, okay, we got to be careful. They had some early results that weren't great, but again, watching film, hey, these guys are athletic. They're quick. We can't approach them as we just show up and win. We really have to go and play well. And we tried a couple of things in both of the games. In each of the games in the first half, which was okay for us, but not great. Mm-hmm. And we switched some things up and really played two second halves in both those games that were really outstanding for us.
Yeah, so let's actually talk about that first game, the NJC game. I know we've talked about this briefly before, about kind of that shape and the adjustment you made. So you end up winning that game 3-1. They go into halftime scoreless, 0-0, and score 3 in the second half. So talk about that adjustment a little bit, what you saw.
Right, so the first half, NJC did a really good job coming out, and they were possessing the ball across the back. And the way we were approaching the first half, the way our front line or attacking players, when we're trying to win a ball back, we had them in the wrong spots. And so we made an adjustment in the second half to kind of bring them in a little bit and take away that possession. As soon as we did that, then the game was really controlled much better from us, and obviously allowed us to score 3 goals in the second half. And so what we were most pleased with wasn't so much the adjustment, but the players doing it and listening to it and accomplishing it. So it ended up being a really good adjustment on their half. Our kids taking it and doing it. So we really like that.
I think it's safe to say that maturity level, that experience level is really paying dividends now.
Right, it's getting there.
So, I mean, that's just wonderful to see that they're coachable. They're I feel like getting much more confident. They're knowing what they're doing, and they're trusting the system, really.
They are. And for us, we've talked to them, hey, I get it, a lot of freshman heavy team, but we got to not be freshmen at some point. We're not first year players at some point. We have to adjust to some different thought, different ideas, and they really did. So that was a big step for us.
And what was one of your favorite moments from that game?
We brought the forwards in between the outside backs and the center backs, and it's about being patient and getting in the way. And sure enough, they played a ball right to where we were hoping they would, and I think it was Emma Getz won the ball and just were able to touch it right back into the goal. And it's like it was manipulated by us. Now you're going to get that once or twice a game, maybe, with what we were trying to do. And man, we capitalized on it, and it changed the game.
It's got to feel good knowing it's like, oh, there's the pressure, boom,
right.
Score.
Yep.
1-0 or whatever the score ended up being.
I think that might have made it 2, but the game we kind of felt like that. All right, now we'll be a little bit more relaxed.
Oh, great. So then Lamar was a little bit tighter of a game. So 1-0, he scored early in probably about the 21st minute. And watching that back again, that was just some great interplay between, I believe, Jessalyn and, can't remember the other one.
It was Macy Sickler.
There you go. Another name that we hear a lot. And just watching the back and forth play, made a couple defenders miss, and right past the goalkeeper.
Yeah, Lamar came out and probably surprised us a little bit with they were possessing the ball pretty well, and it surprised us that they weren't just trying to kind of throw it at us, and but they They did a good job holding the ball, moving it around. Kind of made us run a little bit. They were controlling a good portion of the first half. But, yeah, we broke through and scored, made it 1-0. Second half, again, we made that adjustment. Hey, we got to go to this. This is what needs to work. And we possessed really, really well in the second half. In fact, I think I don't know. I think Lamar might have had one shot in the second half. Our shot selection needed to improve. We controlled it in a great possession way, which I was fine with because that builds a real good amount of confidence. And that possession has got to be key for our games this weekend. So Lamar is a dangerous team. I think they got a little tired because in the possession as we made them run, they didn't have some depth that showed up, but they've got some dangerous players. And it's a team I would not want to play in a first-round playoff scenario. You know, if they came in as 6 and we were 1, I don't want that game because they're dangerous and they have capable players. If you can control it, and maybe we win out on some depth, but they're a very much improved team. We were impressed with them.
Yeah, I was just impressed with the fact that it was a 1-0 final, and I was like, okay, well, that turned out to be a tougher team than what we were anticipating, but which is fine. We like the competition and the toughness, and really helps your.
Those games again. I think maybe there was an expectation from a few players based on last year, and we try to get them past that. But then when they had to play harder and figure it out, that actually really helps us down the road, rather than to just go out there and we can go through the motions and win a game. We have to perform and do the right thing to win the game rather than just show up.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't just. Sometimes those easy teams are the ones that can get you when you're just sitting flat-footed and not expecting.
We really haven't had anything easy. Maybe at the beginning of the year, you know, a game or two, but since then, hey, you got to compete. You got to play 90 minutes. You can't. You got to do the right thing the whole time.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I can't really let anyone. You can't really underestimate anyone nowadays because one player can make a difference. As we've seen with some of the men's games, it's like you can play and have plenty of shots, but they have 3 shots on goal and make all 3.
Yep.
And boom.
Yeah, that's soccer.
So, oh, what a brutal game it is.
It is.
So, all right, now we've got another 2 conference games coming up. This time you're on the road, which, you know, has been kind of nice having you at home a lot.
Right.
But, I mean, now we're getting on the road. You have Otero Friday and Trinidad on Saturday. What are we looking at here?
Well, Otero, always tough. It's tough to play at their place. You know, they play on it's a turf field, but it's a little bit narrower than our field, so the space gets tight. They're undefeated. They beat 2 teams out of Arizona, 2-0, 3-0. It's Paradise Valley and I think it was Gateway, but I can't remember which one was 2-0, 3-0, and then they beat Trinidad 5-0.
Okay.
In a non-conference matchup. But yeah, so they haven't been scored on. They've got a really good goalkeeper. They've got a good group of returning players. This will be a tough game. You know, we have to be disciplined again through our controlling the ball the right way with our right touches and defensive shape on the road. A lot of things not in our favor when under all those scenarios. And plus, we think it's supposed to be bad weather, some rain,
of course.
And colder. So it'll be a challenge. You know that we have some thoughts on how we want to approach the game, but it's one of those ones where, hey, that first 20 minutes is real critical on how we come into that game. Are we controlling it the right way? How's our energy? How's our aggressiveness? You know, are we controlling the ball? You know, if we come in and we're a little sloppy, a little bit off, it's that first 20 minutes that can really set the tone for the rest of the game. And so we know how we want to start it and what we want to do to go into that. But yeah, Otero's a tough team. They always have been. They're at the top of the league, like us, and Laramie. The last 3 years, those are the 3 teams that have been the most consistent at the top of the league. And so this is one of those ones. Hey, if you beat them, you really put yourself in a good spot. down the road in the conference standings.
Yeah, because I know 2 years ago in that Region 9 game, that was the team Otero that you were playing and beat 1-0.
Right.
Good old Grace Connor coming in.
Yeah.
Coming in clutch with that goal. So talk a little bit. So it's about a 7-hour drive to La Junta. Is that correct?
Right.
So talk about how you can maybe make use of that bus ride, or just how kind of does that bus ride work out for you?
You know, for the game is Friday at 3:00, so we're leaving. We're going to leave the day before.
Oh, okay.
So we'll leave after practice, get into the hotel. We'll kind of let them sleep in, and so we'll have some. That won't affect us so much, but on that, in fact, we don't even on a long trip like that. We encourage the players. We don't even want to talk soccer.
Okay.
Let's just be a team. Let's be goofy. Do your homework, whatever. Watch a movie, but soccer's not on our mind at that point. I think you can spend so much time overthinking something, and you're so anxious going into the next day that it can affect you. Our players know this team, and they know the importance of it. We've talked. Now they just have to go and do it. So the trip will be 7 hours on a bus, but not the day of. So
that is how. So it should be nice and fresh legs, mentally just rested and hopefully zoned in and focused. All right, so we have Otero, Trinidad. What are we not looking for them on Saturday?
Trinidad the next day. Again, second day games are always tough to. I don't care who you're playing. Trinidad's been up and down a little bit, but they're very well coached. You know, even last year, we played them here, and I think we'd beat them 3-0 here, but then we had to play them first round of the playoffs, and they were ahead of us 1-0 at halftime, and it was 2 second-half goals, and one of them was very late in the game to secure that win. So they're very well coached. They'll be disciplined. They're talented. They're not very deep as far as overall number of players, but they're well conditioned and they play hard. So we take nothing for granted. That second day, when depending on how we do, we hope we win and you're on a high, but you gotta come down off that high and get ready again. Man, if you lose, now you got to bring it back up. So there's lots of things tough about that second day, regardless of who that opponent is. So hopefully we come out on the winning end of both of those. But Trinidad, well-respected team, well-coached. They'll play hard. I think they kind of look at us and sometimes as Casper as, that's the feather in the cap win. Mm-hmm. So we know no matter who we play, their teams always want to bring their A game against us and come hard.
Yeah, we've seen that in many of the games, both for the men and for your team, and it's been. I know, for example, with the NJC game for the men, with the other team scoring early and scoring a lot, and then I think it became kind of a mental game for the men of, hey, they're overjoyed, running around, and kind of got into their heads a little bit.
I kind of watched that. In fact, with our girls, we were watching that, and I reminded them, I say, look, that's not ever what we'll do. It's a regular season game. We're never going to have a celebration like that out there. I think that can come back and get you. If we're going to go and celebrate, we'll get on the bus, drive around the block so no one can hear us, and then we'll yell and scream on the bus. I just think there's a level at some point. It's like, I don't know that we need to do certain things like that, but for me it was more of a reminder. When teams beat you and they act like that, there's a reason why. You can assume whatever you want, but that's just not something we're going to do. We're going to act like we've been there before.
Save that for when you're in the championship game and
correct
and winning and
right.
Have won. I like it. So, final question, what would you say would be the keys to success for this weekend?
Our ball control. Not being anxious. Control the ball, then move it. Let's not try to just bang balls forward or one-touch balls to nobody. Control the ball, possession, move it, and when we're doing that, we're as good as anybody. When we're not, we play in the other team's favor. So what we do when we initially get that first ball is the most important thing for us this weekend.
And it's an important thing it is. So this weekend on the road, we got some tough games. We got some really important games. Conference play is always important. And then hopefully we can have you come back and we can watch it at home.
That's the plan.
All right. Well, thank you, Coach, and it's always a pleasure to have you here with us. And T-Bird fans, we'll see you next time.
Thanks.